Neither a wise man nor a brave man waits on the tracks of history for the train of tomorrow to run over him. Welcome, honoured guests. It is a privilege to host you here at the launch of the National Security Association of Australia, or the NSAA. My name is Alok Patel, and I'm the inaugural chair of the NSAA. I'm joined by two auspicious board members, Sandy Taylor and Kelly Hopkins. I'd like to thank Marty Rowan and Gadens for their support and contribution. When Dwight Eisenhower spoke the words in my introduction, he meant them as a warning not to be prophetic. In modern terms, we can't drive to the future by looking through a rear-view mirror, not unless we intend to crash into it. In the 235 years since Australia was founded, we brought cultures and civilizations from all over the world. We've contributed our lives and hearts and minds to the nation and the world. We gave birth to the science behind wireless internet. Where would we be if we had developed and commercialised it for the betterment of Australia and the world, I wonder? We can't change the past, but we can choose to lead. And where we are going is great. NSAA will foster industry leadership, not just participation. What is leadership? It goes beyond title or corporate track record. It's when everyday people choose to go beyond the boundaries of their institutions and organisations to serve others while serving themselves. This is the heart of servant leadership. The objectives of the NSAA are built on this desire, where we seek to firstly accelerate and reinforce the Australian national security industry ecosystem, including defence capability, in order to contribute to economic prosperity, social well-being, and environmental stewardship. Secondly, attract private capital investment towards national security industries, technologies, and infrastructure. And thirdly, strengthen and accelerate industry's development, commercialisation, and use of disruptive and emerging technologies. We will know success through everlasting freedoms that deliver unbridled choice, creation, and ultimately happiness. I am here to enable that for you. This mission is personal. It was inspired by my parents, who have served and saved thousands of people throughout their careers as doctors and medical officers. Mum with over 52 years of service to the Australian Army, and Dad having served as an Army officer during the Vietnam War and then in private practice for over 55 years. They have taught me to live in Australia is a privilege, to prosper is an obligation. You see, there is a greatness inside all Australians, and it isn't a desire for power or for significance, it's authenticity. It's a desire to live in harmony. As Australians, this is what we must bring to the world. National security is just as much about avos in Atherton, hospital beds in Mugandai, as naval shipyards in Cairns, or advanced manufacturing hubs in Brisbane. Everyone counts, from farmers, veterans, scientists, engineers to interior designers and entrepreneurs, are every part of our supply chain. From the great state of Queensland to Western Australia, technology and people must work hand in hand for the sake of our nation's interests and productivity. Despite technology being centric to the NSAA, people are equally as vital. We've chosen to focus on leveraging disruptive and emerging technologies to individually advance member companies and their pursuits, whilst uniting people under a banner of national security stemming from the need for sovereign capability. People and their ability to innovate in collaborative environments, whether out in the field or inside spaces and places, will be central to our efforts. As Australians, we've never sought the limelight. We don't see the work we do as great because we've always respected modesty. As French Saint Teresa said, we can do no great things, only small things with great love. Israel, with only 20% naturally arable land, grows 95% of its own food requirements. Its technology exports were 67 billion and defence exports were 12.5 billion. Australia doesn't scour its own wool. We ship 80% of our wool to China and export approximately 70% of our agriculture overseas. We have a benchmark. Industries such as agriculture, architecture, construction, engineering, education, health, technology, energy, telecommunications, critical infrastructure, all matter to national security. The Brisbane Olympics in 2032 will see the upgrading and building of new infrastructure from sporting, business, and transportation facilities. All of this must deliver form and function whilst being secure from potential threats. We see the NSAA supporting industry to ensure the promise of prosperity that comes from such a significant global event is underpinned by necessary protection and preservation. Speaking of global significance, national security offers effective self-reliance to establish authentic long-term relationships that foster great collaborations and even greater outcomes between nations. It's not just the recent Australian Government Defence Strategic Review that makes defence important. In December of 2022, Australia's own Future Fund noted uncertain times, acknowledging the actual possibility of war. In the same quarter, PGIM, an American investment manager with over $1.27 trillion funds under management, remarked on similar risks, noting the threat and impact of major cybersecurity attacks on critical infrastructure. We need to pay attention. The proposed US budget for defence for the next fiscal year is $842 billion. They've cited concerns such as industry consolidation. Since the 1990s, defence prime have shrunk from 51 companies to 5. Production constraints and surge capacity, which refers to the ability for the base to meet the capacity requirements of defence. The Ukraine and Russian war has exposed weakness. And finally, the supply chain security and resilience, which refers to the vulnerabilities in supply chains which rely on global partners, manufacturing capacity, and limited international coordination. These problems are far more severe in Australia, but treaties such as AUKUS and other recent international national security relationships are bringing opportunities to this nation, and the NSAA is hoping to help you capitalise on them. The NSAA has selected an uncommon activity. We've chosen to deliberately encourage the employment of veterans in industry, as well as for Australians to consider providing reserve service in order to achieve national capability. It is our intention to work with the ADF and industry to support these efforts to serve our national security interests. Finally, the NSAA recognises that the defence community provides another facet of Australia's best foundations for meaningful and sustainable social wellbeing. It brings dignity, vibrancy and heart to veterans and their families through organisations such as Legacy and Defence Kids. Australia needs this without question. Members will join because they seek to be part of an association devoted to furthering Australia's national interests, as well as their own. Some benefits include the attraction of private capital and access to experts and insights for national security and defence-related investment opportunities. Industry-led national security technology accelerator, expertise and insights into how to protect your organisation from cyber attacks and how they relate to national security, and again, unprecedented insights in how national security is relevant to your industry and how to align your business to present and future opportunities, gaps, and challenges that may exist. The NSAA is excited and we're not wasting any time. Tomorrow morning we'll be hosting Max Cunningham from FCX, who manages an innovative financial platform for unlisted securities. What we admire about FCX is that it will be a vital solution to increase the volume and velocity of private capital to the national security industrial base. I'm also extremely excited to announce that the NSAA will co-host an event in Washington, DC at the new Australian Embassy with business executives for national security, a 40-year-old industry association in the United States. Fondly known as BENS, BENS is a national network of elite business leaders who are united in the belief that the private sector expertise and best practices can help the Department of Defense and other national security agencies execute their mission to keep America secure. Our event will be focused on how US and Australian industry can support our respective nations in delivering the AUKUS treaty objectives. Our next steps will also include the establishment of operational subcommittees on cybersecurity, private capital, critical infrastructure, and emerging technologies. I'm excited to lead the National Security Association of Australia, NSAA, as it seeks to achieve its objectives. I leave you with this final message. We Australians, we're mates in every sense of the word, equals through shared spirit. The great potential of authenticity resides within each of us, just waiting for that call to action. Our pursuits don't have to be monumental. It's the passion and unwavering commitment we pour into them that define us today. No matter the circumstance, we'll always rush to help each other. And our track record in advancing science and technology shines a light in the world. It's time to do more for the nation and the world. And time, a resource beyond anyone's ability to manufacture, compels us to hasten. In this unique era, even national security, an uncommon companion, becomes a symbol of distinction. Our distinctions will be a product not only of triumph, but tribulation. We will forge ahead where our diverse skills, qualifications, passions, and pursuits converge beneath a single banner, on the same sunburnt land we cherish, yearn to safeguard, and aspire to enrich. Irrespective of what industry you hail from, join the NSAA, and together we will share Australia's wonders, her traditions and cultures, our authenticity for the benefit of humanity. Thank you, and Godspeed to this magnificent nation. So that's the end, but I'm going to ask my two fellow directors that, rather than sitting beside me, they've sort of hidden in the crowd, to come out and help me hand out. So we have challenge coins for everybody, and we'll be a little bit traditional, and we will hand them out individually because there is a means and a process. You can take a handful, absolutely.